Hello, this is Mick Foley.
I am WWF's longest reigning light heavyweight champion, Gilbert.
Hey guys, former WWE superstar Hornswoggle.
This is Dave LaGreca from Busted Open.
And you are now.
And you are now.
And you are now.
And you are now.
Somewhere in the ring.
Somewhere in the ring.
Somewhere in the ring.
Somewhere in the ring.
So then I thought that was the issue, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, your mic's not plugged in. And I was like, well, that's not correct. Yeah. So,
that's just objectively false.
So, yeah, so if I sound weird at any point, let me know, because it means that it might be the same issue. But we're not here to talk about mics. We're here to talk about wrestling, right? This is Somewhere in the Ring. Look at that seamless segue. Yeah, I'm Andrew Stanford. This is my good buddy Ryan Sprague, and this is a podcast where we talk about pro wrestling. And there's a lot to talk about this week.
Oh,
there's a lot going on.
I thought this is going to be a slow week heading into Elimination Chamber. What was I thinking? Why would I have thought that?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. But how are you, Ryan? Before we get into the nitty gritty.
So you've known me for what? Going on 15 years now, maybe around there.
Something like that. I want to say, and I've timed this out. I've thought about this before. We may have crossed paths at our old job earlier, but I specifically remember you and I like really meeting and starting to hang out in 2012 after we were both coming off of big breakups.
Right. And the end of the world, according to the Mayan calendar. Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
That's how I remember it. Not our breakups. Not at all.
I specifically, 2012 kicked off with a huge breakup for me with somebody who I was living with. And then the rest of that summer was pretty magical. One of the better summers of my life.
We were depressed little dudes looking for companionship, and we found it in each other. I'm right. Does that sound okay? That sounds okay.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. Sounds great.
Perfect.
We're two normal, confident men. We can talk about loving each other. Dag nabbit.
Two dudes in a pool, 10 feet apart because they're not gay.
I don't know what that is, but
it's one of the first Vines ever, man. It's one of the first.
Vine. When I tell you that Vine missed me like George of the Jungle didn't miss the tree when he's swinging on the vine. I was trying to make some connection, and that was awful. But Vine, I am not a Vine person, or was not a Vine person. I learned afterward. I think who is it? Connor O'Malley. I think is the only person I know who's like a Vine person, and I learned he was a Vine person after I saw him in like I Think You Should Leave and stuff like that. Like so, and I saw the TV gloves. So
that's usually how it goes. Yeah.
I had Vine missed me entirely.
Bring it back. Bring it back.
I feel like that's what TikTok was at first, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
then TikTok got like, I don't want to say complicated, but then TikTok became like, oh no, you better know how to use a green screen or else you get nothing.
That's why we're not on there, right?
Yeah. You better know how to edit things where first you're up close and then you're far away and then maybe you're up close again. I also feel like
and you got to always do this.
There's a lot of God. One of my only TikToks is me saying that I'm pointing to things and pointing and there's nothing there. It was one of my. It was a joke. It was a joke born out of laziness, and I stick by it pretty strong.
How'd that land?
I didn't do a lot of TikToks. It got like a couple hundred views. I feel like I should have done TikTok more, but I also just like can't. My brain doesn't work randomly the way that, and I that's not like a knock either. Like people who do stuff, like I'll walk around and like try to be silly or do silly things in the moment, but I'm never like, let me get out of camera or get on my phone and shoot this and then take the time to put it online and then come up with something else an hour later that'll be short and silly that I can also put out. It's just not how my brain works.
Yeah, same. I'm with you, man. That's why I passed this by. I bring this up because as long as you've known me, I've been a workaholic, right? Like sure. I live, breathe, sleep, work. It's something I got from my father, who has always been the same way. I respect it. Sometimes it's a curse. I'm up at 6 a.m. working, from the minute I roll out of bed and have coffee till like midnight every night, doing stuff like this, doing my UFO things, writing, freelance writing, which you do as well. We do the grind. All this to say, for the first time in years, I'd say maybe 5 years, I took a nap today.
Hey, let's go.
For 4
Ooh.
hours.
Ooh. I'm glad you said that too, because when you said that you get up at 6 and go to bed at midnight, I was almost going to interrupt you and say, Ryan, please sleep more. Please sleep. You need sleep.
You're
You need more
starting
sleep
to
than that.
you're starting to see things. Yeah, no, I took a nap, and
Mhm.
I will tell you right now, I'm on my 3rd cup of coffee from that nap because, dude, my body was like, "What are you doing?" And I
Yeah,
am so
messed you
groggy.
up.
I'm so out of it. And I looked at the clock and I'm like, "Oh my God, Andrew and I have to record." So if I'm a little loopy today, that is why. I've had my first nap in over
Amazing.
4 years, and I don't know how your children do it every day.
Poorly. They're at an age where like they're starting to transition out of naps.
Yeah.
But that being said, they only nap for an hour, but every now and then it'll be like, because here's the thing, if they don't nap, they get real crazy towards the end of the night. But when
Yeah.
they do nap, sometimes I have to, like August especially, I have to be like, bud, I'm sorry. I know I'm asking you for like the 10th time, but you have to get up. He will open his eyes, look at me, and basically be like, nah, and then just
Not
close them
happening.
and like fall back asleep right in front of me. And I'm like, no, bud, please, please, please. Like,
Wow.
yeah. So I get it. I'm sorry.
Well, hey, all
But
this to say, I'm here. I'm ready to talk all of this stuff. But how are you doing? What's going on over there in New
not
York?
too shabby.
Yeah.
I was part of a really fun reading of a new play the other night, which I'm still kind of riding high from. That was a blast. I got work tonight, but I might go see Hard Eyes afterwards, or I'm supposed to go see Hard Eyes
Ooh.
afterwards. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Nice original horror movie
Yep.
in February that I've heard is pretty good, and I waited several weeks into the release of it to go see it, and I hope I like it more than The Monkey, which I really, really did not like.
Yes,
Which
which I still have to see.
I'm apparently in the minority. I keep telling people that, like, and some people I have almost immediately been like, "Oh, well, the director, like, you must not have liked Longlegs very much." No, I loved Longlegs. Longlegs was one of my favorite movies last year. This is not Longlegs, and that's
Right.
not mainly the reason I didn't like it. I didn't like it because it is a movie that I think thinks it is very funny, and I found to be profoundly unfunny. I wanted to leave. It is, most of the jokes are based around, like, without getting into spoilers about the movie, most of the jokes are based around deaths of all these different characters, and death can be funny like that can, and I understand. You have a director who's I'm going to try to not go on too much of a tangent right now.
Welcome to Letterboxd.
We have a director who whose father died of AIDS, and he didn't know that was happening basically until it happened, and then his mom died on one of the planes in September 11th, which I had no idea about. Like, so he
Whoa.
wanted to, and part of the movie is kind of playing with like the randomness of death and but there is zero tension. All the deaths are like, they start with a really crazy one, and then there's nowhere to really go from there. And then it's just over and over again. Here's another crazy death. Here's another crazy death. Here's another crazy death. Isn't this funny? Like, and it's like, no, because you don't even
No.
there's no, all of them are telegraphed. There's not even like the fun, like, Final Destination. Ooh, start piecing together like how this is going to happen.
Right. I've heard a
There's
lot of
none of
people
that.
are comparing it to the Final Destinations, but like you said,
Yeah.
not as good. I'm gonna check it out, but I
I
think
I I think everybody
yeah.
should. I think it's one of those things too where I will still see whatever his next movie is. He has a
Mhm.
movie coming out in the fall. He's gonna have 3 movies coming out in 16 months, which is
Wow.
crazy. That
Talk
he
about a
shot,
workaholic.
yeah, and he shot it during the strikes between Longlegs and the Monkey. So like and Longlegs, a wholly original movie, which again I adored and saw twice in theaters last year, and my wife got me the Blu-ray for my birthday this year. Like, I'm excited to crack that open at some point. But the Monkey, an adaptation that it only took the core conceit of the story,
Yeah.
which is just that there's a monkey that once it's done playing its song, someone dies randomly, and that was just kind of like, okay. So he took that and just told a completely original story around that, and I just did not care for it. Talented guy,
Yeah.
looked great. All the actors were really good. No, sorry, that's a lie. Most of them were really good, and then some people. I think like the whole problem is he doesn't know what tone he's going for.
Yeah.
There's
I've
my
heard
little
it's
mini
very.
review of the monkey.
I
It
love
is a
it. I love it, man.
tonal mess. It is a tonal mess. You have some characters giving really grounded performances, and then someone will walk in acting like they're in Edward Scissorhands. Like I don't know how else to describe it.
I'm gonna check it out when it comes out.
I think
on
you should. I would
streaming.
encourage
Yeah.
everybody to see it because again, he's an exciting director, and I'm most people have enjoyed it. I did not like it. I had to like really dig into reviews to find even one that was like as scathing as I wanted. And but you know, that's the fun thing about reviews is sometimes
Absolutely.
even people that you read all the time like or dislike things that you don't like or don't dislike.
Yep.
That's the
We
magic.
will.
That's the juice.
That is the magic, buddy. And we will be reviewing Elimination Chamber next week. We're gonna give our predictions.
Man, I thought you were gonna say Ready to Rumble, but that's fine too. That's
We'll get there. I promise.
we are.
You.
I keep making that
promise
promise. It has to happen. I think we'll have to do it. I think that movie turns 25 this year, so we might
Oh
have
my
to
god.
do like a whole. I'll look that up afterwards. We'll have to do
Okay.
like a whole where we coincide with its 25th anniversary.
They'll be like, someone did a review of the movie, guys. Someone did a review. I love it. I love it. So today, buddy, we are going to be doing something fun. Last week we did our dream elimination chamber matches that we wanted. This week we're going to be doing who we think need a push right now. There's been a lot of stuff coming out of the women's division, specifically in WWE, where the women are unhappy with how they're all being booked through Triple H. A lot of people feel like Triple H is kind of on, there was this big high yet last year after WrestleMania. This is the era of Triple H, of Paul Levesque. And now it seems like the honeymoon phase is over and people are starting to be vocal about how they feel about who's getting pushed, who's not, what's going on over there. So we thought today we would voice our concerns, but not just our concerns, but who we think really should be getting those pushes right now. Not so much instead of other people, but just who needs that extra boost to get to the next level, right?
Because if I may offer just a little pushback as well, because we had talked about this the other day, I think doing a show where you're doing 3 shows a week every week is very hard. And when you get to a certain point, like there's gonna be some like downtime, and I always love that like stuff like this is like, oh, abandoned ship, he doesn't know what he's doing, and I'm just like
they're going out of business.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I think you look no further than the insane amount of popularity and like the crazy reactions that Jey Uso is getting, or like your Tiffany Strattons, or like these people that they are getting turned into superstars in the Paul Levesque era. Your Braun Breakers, like there is enough out there. I of course have my selections. There are people that I want to see pushed, and some people I just kind of want to see pushed differently. A little spoiler there, but yeah, I am not surprised to hear that there's belly aching, but I was kind of like, I was like, does nobody remember what it was like during lockdown? Like, does nobody remember what it's like during the worst days of Vince McMahon? Like, you're looking at bad stuff. And don't get me wrong, I didn't love having to see Triple H and Stephanie like put their weight behind their mom and mother-in-law while she threatens to tear down the very department she's trying to run. But as far as like WWE stuff, I don't know. I'm kind of happy right now. But we'll get into it. What's the news before we get into the pushes? Yes.
Okay. Well, the only thing I'm going to say is go watch the clip of Triple H behind Linda McMahon at that hearing or swearing in, because he takes a sip of water and it looks like he's about to go.
You know what? If he had done that, I would have been like, fine, she gets the gig. She gets the gig. Let her.
He did not, but the impulse was there. You could tell he was about.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. Given everything else that's happened, she's gonna get that gig. Like, I don't even think it's a question at this point, but it's pretty absurd and horrendous, and it sucks.
Yeah. Moving on. Let's get to the news.
Moving
No
on.
more
Yeah, let's get
talk
to the news.
of
Yeah,
Linda
please. Let's
McMahon.
move from. Yeah. Hey.
What is going on, man? Question one
Seems like
for you
right.
before we get to this
Mhm.
story. Do you know who Ryan Nemeth is?
I do. I was
Okay.
familiar with this story before you had put it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so I know of him. I know that I had seen. I feel like I saw talk earlier this year about his like kind of getting into some of the feelings that we'll discuss here, but
Yeah.
it's I think there have been enough lawsuits at AEW at this point to make it all feel kind of silly. But yes, but that's not to say that I don't take these accusations very seriously as well.
Right.
So please,
So
what do we
let's
got?
we'll read the headline. We have Ryan Nemeth, who people should know is Nick Nemeth's brother, actually. Ryan
Mhm.
Nemeth sues Tony Khan, AEW, and CM Punk.
Mhm.
Fightful was the first to report this. Do you want me to go ahead and read some of the bullet points here?
Sure. Yeah.
Sound good? Ryan Nemeth has sued Kahn, AEW, and CM Punk in California state court. The complaint, per the report, includes claims of assault, breach of contract, breach of implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, and intentional interference with prospective advantage. The gist
Mm.
of the case is that Nemeth accuses CM Punk of assaulting Nemeth in the locker room. Nemeth claims that AEW thereafter benched him at CM Punk's request, and Nemeth contends that after CM Punk left AEW for the WWE, the defendants attempted to blackball Nemeth from professional wrestling. Last paragraph here. From a paragraph 41 of the complaint, Tony Khan blames Nemeth for Brooks leaving AEW and has used his significant resources to make sure that Nemeth can never again make a living as a wrestler.
I don't think I knew that last part about Nemeth implying that Tony Khan blames him for CM Punk leaving AEW.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That seems pretty nuts, especially because when all the dust ups were happening, you heard Matt and Nick Jackson, you heard Jungle Boy, you heard Ace Steel, like you heard all these names getting thrown around. Never heard Ryan Nemeth getting thrown around there. However, I think Tony Khan brought some of this stuff on himself because when CM Punk essentially got exiled to his own show on Saturday nights and put in another position of power, like it's easy for someone to say that, oh, I wasn't allowed to do this because this manager, this person in charge didn't want me there. That was kind of Punk's thing at the time, was picking who he did and he did not want in the on his show. Now, that does not mean that that's what happened. But it is kind of like that's this lawsuit coming forward speaks to how poorly I think Tony Khan runs things over there. It's just kind of like madcap.
Oh yeah, and I mean we're hearing it all the time. Ricky Saints, has been very vocal since he came over to NXT now, and has even stated, there were certain people who tried to get involved with my creative over there who shouldn't have been, who had no right doing it. And when I voiced my concern about that, that's when I was gone for a year, and they made a concerted effort to make sure I wasn't on TV. And we're hearing this all the time, and we're hearing still to this day, even since CM Punk lost and all that. CM Punk left. That the locker room is just
was fired.
Mess.
The CM Punk was fired. I would like to say that he was fired. He did not leave. Yep.
Thank you for stating that.
Yep. No,
but dude,
whatever.
It's
all mess. It's all a mess.
It's a mess. And we saw this past week on, I believe it was Dynamite, one of the most awkward confrontations with Thunder Rosa, of all people, over there at AEW, where certain wrestlers no-sold like this huge segment in the show. And you could tell that they were strictly doing this because they had something against Thunder Rosa, the wrestler, not the character, nothing like that.
Right.
And
I feel like that's not the first time either, right? Isn't she not very popular over there?
Yeah, she's got some enemies over there. Whether that's her fault or not, who knows?
Yeah,
but it just goes to show like how how bad it seems to be in the locker room over there. And look, we're not an AEW bashing show, but they don't make it hard to criticize them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I certainly wouldn't be able to run a wrestling company. Like I don't like, you know what I mean? But I think it is like it's what you brought up, the Ricky Saints, the kind of like, and this is not the first time this has been said, but the kind of lunatics running the asylum aspect of AEW can only hold water for so long.
Right. So what do you make of this lawsuit? I mean, do you believe Ryan Nemeth?
It's hard to believe anything right on its face. I would say that if he has enough information or enough to warrant a lawsuit like that, there's probably a good chance he's got something. It's also, I as much as I love seeing CM Punk come over and hype up Bailey and be friendly and stuff, even like the Undertaker, I saw him talking about last week about how CM Punk had more of a chip on his shoulders and was a little bit like more confrontational when he was first with the company. And now he's like making jokes and he's a completely other person. But like that difficult reputation didn't come out of nowhere. Like, and it was something that he certainly had in AEW. The fight thing, I think, is a little interesting because if I remember correctly, and this is why I always kind of wait until, who knows, this might get settled and never go to court. But I feel like at least from what I read, he was trying to use the fact that Punk and the Young Bucks got in a fight as proof that Punk would attack him. I may have misread that. If that is it, I don't think that's very good proof. But we'll see. It sucks. It sucks. It'll probably, but like Punk is in a place where he's making a lot of money for people who have some very high-powered lawyers. So my guess is this probably won't be one of those like drawn out things like it was with him and the WWE doctor and Colt Cabana. Like I don't think it'll be a situation like that. But I think it's interesting, and I do think it is just kind of what happens when you run a place a certain way and when you treat people a certain way.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that Punk was like, Punk could have been mistreated himself as well. Like there's other things. It sounds messy. That's mostly what I make of it.
Exactly. It's messy and we'll see what happens. But like you said, this is what happens when you run a company the way you do, when you're just playing with action figures. These are people with livelihoods and families and careers. And when someone feels their career might be over because of you, they're going to, I have a feeling this will not be the last lawsuit against Tony Khan.
I think the hardest thing that I think you will have to prove is that they are blackballing him. That's always kind of hard to prove that because of them, you are not getting work elsewhere. That's kind of difficult to prove. Doesn't mean it's not happening, but it'd be very difficult to prove.
Absolutely, man. You should be a lawyer. You really should.
Absolutely not.
With that sentence alone, I'm voting for you.
That's
for
it.
Next
That's it.
District attorney.
That's good because we usually elect lawyers.
I don't know where that came from. I'm sorry. Don't you vote for district attorneys?
I don't know. Actually, I think so. I think you might.
Oh, speaking of which, did I tell you I got jury duty here in Scotland?
I saw
not
you
even a
post
citizen.
about that.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Am I going to get arrested? I don't know what's going on.
I think that only happens when you get the free boat notice.
Free boat. Okay.
Free boat come collect it at the police station.
Free boat. Good
WrestleMania in Nolans, baby.
Yeah, this was announced this past week on SmackDown by none other.
I can say Nolans because I lived there for 3 years.
You did?
When I was growing up. Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. What?
Lived in Metairie, Louisiana, 10 minutes outside of Nolans for about 3 years when I was growing up.
I learned something
which is
new
why I
about
love
you every
Ricky
day.
Saints. By the way, I said it last week and I nailed it. He absolutely named himself, added Saints because he was born and raised.
That's why.
In New Orleans.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm excited to see whatever he gets to do next year. I assume he will be on the main roster by next year, or at least get that push. But
could he have picked a better time? Could he have picked a better time?
Seriously.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So
WrestleMania
Rock announced this on SmackDown, stating that WrestleMania 42 will take place on April 11th and 12th at the Superdome. So it's happening. I have heard nothing but good things about how New Orleans does with these big events and sporting events. And so I have a feeling it's going to be a really, really good pre-show. You know how they kind of set up the town and the city
Mhm.
before WrestleMania with like events, kind of like Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I know some of our viewers and listeners will probably be there. Hopefully
Yeah.
we'll be getting them sharing photos and videos and stuff again.
Yeah,
Like
maybe
last
my
year.
my sister-in-law lives down there. Maybe I'll try to go bother her
Oh,
for
sweet.
a week.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Uh,
that's happening.
yes, it is. And I think we can just quickly move on to the person who announced it and this weird, ridiculous thing. Ryan,
Yes, Andrew. Yes.
I want this man to go away. I want The Rock to make up his mind and say, I am going to wrestle Cody Rhodes for the title at WrestleMania, or I want him to go away. I am tired of this. I dare you. I dare you. Oh God, I think Funko Pops are hitting. It looks like that poor thing is trapped. It looks
I
like
know.
they got shrunk and trapped. I hate to. At least you take your Funko Pops out of the box. I once
Oh, I'm
went
yeah,
to
I'm not a
somebody's house.
purist.
I once went to somebody's house and they had a wall of Funko Pops that were all in the box. That is not an exaggeration. They were stacked evenly across the wall. They were all in the box, and I will never understand something less than buying toys that you don't. They're little statue toys that you can only kind of play with, and you don't even take them out and present them as it doesn't matter. This gives me a headache, like this, and not just because of the patterns on the Rock's vest. Like it is so frustrating to see him throw his weight around in a way that feels more akin to Vince McMahon than anything else.
Okay.
It is like,
Let's
go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Well, no, because I really want to get your thoughts on this because I know we had differing opinions when it first happened. We were texting back.
Yeah,
and forth.
you were pretty high on this at first.
I
which
was
is fine. You're not the only one.
I know. Well, I've had some time. I've listened to some other people. I've sort of come around to why this is an issue. I think it's too early, but let's tee this up for anyone
Sure.
listening or watching who didn't know. This week on SmackDown, The Rock came out mid-show, mind you, which I think was a huge, huge mistake on their part. And he repeatedly swung from heel to babyface, turning the segment during which he largely emphasized that Cody and his family could have everything they ever wanted if Rhodes became The Rock's champion. Cody, who noted he was the people's champion, seemed stunned, and The Rock eventually ended by telling Rhodes what he wanted more than anything in the world was Cody's soul. The reaction to the promo on social media was primarily one of confusion. The Rock's return on SmackDown was a
Can't imagine why.
The Rock hinted that his current storyline with Cody Rhodes will not lead to a match.
Yeah. He said that right afterwards. What are we doing?
Right after.
What are we doing? What is this? Go away. Because here's the thing I don't disagree with that you said when we first started talking about this, which is that Cody Rhodes currently has no real story being built up for WrestleMania. Do you know whose fault that is? The Rock. It's The Rock's fault. It's because he keeps flip-flopping and going back and forth, and like people will be like, oh, he's actually not going to be at WrestleMania 41, and then he's like, oh, I don't believe any of that, and then he shows up at Survivor Series to stand there for no reason, and then later on goes, hey, Cody, I love you. You've been a great champ. Happy Netflix. And now he's back, and he's like, oh, but I want your son. Like, it's just dumb. I want him to go away. I don't need him to earn this get this little pop that he's getting, this little fix or whatever. If he was 100% committed to this and was working in tangent with like the writers or Triple H or anybody, it would be one thing. But all the rumors are saying that he's just like throwing the place into chaos.
Yeah.
Like I think Bubba Ray was the one who said like, why would you not announce this unless it was happening at the last minute? He said he was going to be on SmackDown the day of SmackDown. Who cares? Nobody's going to like tune in for that, even though apparently ratings were very high for this 3-hour episode that included a 30-minute promo. Like it's exhausting and it's frustrating and it does more harm than good. That's my opinion. Like, I think that they have this only adds to, because I wouldn't call Cody like a stagnant champion or anything like that. He's been defending his belt. He's been having great matches. The program against Kevin Owens was fantastic. Yeah. But there was like real good, consistent stuff there. With The Rock deciding to float back in and out, Cody just has to kind of like float himself. And look, if it's something where they like, I don't know, he can't even have like a heel turn at this point because it would be too obvious and like set up. Heel turns are fun if they're surprising and exciting, and you can't even have if Cody was the heel going in against John Cena or something at WrestleMania. Okay, fine. But you're not going to do that in a month and a half, even though we do have a month and a half before like at the end of Elimination Chamber, we have a month and a half before WrestleMania. There's time. I just don't like any of this. I don't like it. It's non-committal nonsense.
Okay. So
please.
When I originally texted you, I think within 30 minutes of me watching this. Now, I usually have to watch SmackDown the following day because it doesn't come on until midnight here in the UK.
It's 3 hours long still for some reason.
I know, man. And this
so
was
silly.
This was being touted as one of the worst SmackDowns in recent history, and I honestly think it's because of this segment. I do not blame anyone else. I don't blame the writers. Like, everyone had to deal with whatever BS this guy came in throwing around, and how genius and brilliant of an actor he thinks he is, and can just go out there and improv and whatnot. And it didn't work. Like they said, it was the most bipolar thing I've ever seen. He couldn't decide if he was, Final Boss, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He's saying him and Cody are best friends now. When did this happen? Why did we never see this? You literally tried to kill this man in front of his own tour bus last year, and then
which was more fun.
Camera,
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Off camera, somehow you two are best friends, drinking tequila, and now your moms are like going out and having dinner together. Like, okay. Now I'm getting heated because I tried to defend this to you, and I'm like, dude, they're doing the Vince McMahon Stone Cold thing. This is going to be awesome. Like, I like this thing where like the champion is rebelling against the boss. And the more I think about it, I'm like, The Rock what is he going to do? Try to make Cody his corporate champion? Cody is one of the most corporate champions the company has ever had. I mean, look at the guy. Sure. Look at how he acts. Look at how he dresses. Look at how he talks. Like, he's corporate all the way. And I don't even think he would deny that at this point. So I don't see that storyline really working if you're trying to reinvent this Stone Cold and Vince McMahon thing, if that's what they're going for.
But see, what I would argue is they were doing that fine last year. They were already doing that just by the nature of having the champion go up against the boss. Last year, he was using his position as a board member of TKO to an exciting and amusing effect. This is not that. Like, this also, the Stone Cold and Vince McMahon thing grew organically, and Vince McMahon was on TV like every week.
Right.
Like, it was happening a lot. You can't just walk in randomly and expect people to care. And then it like throws everything up in the air. Like, if we were talking about this, The Rock's pitching a movie to Hollywood right now where he plays a Hawaiian mob boss with Scorsese and DiCaprio as producers. Like, if that gets picked up, which it probably will, then he'll probably be like, no, never mind.
Yeah.
And like, even last year, he wrestled one match, which was a tag match, which was like fine, but he's not the same anymore. Like, and when he said it didn't need to culminate in a match, then also I was like, okay, but that's kind of like what your last year's thing was. You didn't have a match with him, but you had a representative in Roman Reigns, and like that, like we already did that. It's just,
well, indeed, I think like I'm all for storytelling, but for him to go to a press conference right after this and like break the mystique, LaGreca talked about this a lot on his show. If you guys haven't heard the Busted Open episode where Dave LaGreca just went off on The Rock, I highly suggest it for entertainment purposes, if nothing else. Love that guy. He did a promo for us for the show, so sending a shout out to him. But I do agree that like storytelling's one thing. It's a major reason you and I follow this week to week, why we love this. We love the characters. We love the storytelling. But at the end of the day, while it is sports entertainment, it's professional wrestling. And for The Rock to go into a press conference and say, look, doesn't have to be about punching and kicking. I'm like, dude, you're putting down the very business that you grew up in, that your father grew up in, that your entire family grew up in. And you're basically saying that the wrestling doesn't matter. We don't need a match to tell the greatest story. And it's like, you know what? We kind of do. And Cody's been doing pretty damn good himself doing those matches without you coming in here. So I have completely turned on this already. I was excited when I saw the Vince McMahon Stone Cold comparisons. And now I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. There's no way the audience is going to buy this. Everything The Rock tries to come in and do and force on people, they're going to rebel. And I see that happening again. So
yeah, and last year it worked. This year I don't see any upside to any of this. And I would love to be surprised. What
do you think's going to happen at Elimination Chamber? Do you think Cody's going to give his answer?
I don't know.
Wait?
I wouldn't be. I would say wait. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they were just like, actually, The Rock's not here tonight. Like it doesn't.
The Rock didn't show up.
That's how flighty he is right now. That's how inconsistent and unreliable he is. That I wouldn't be surprised if he just didn't even show up at Chamber. But again, I would love to be surprised. I would love to see something come out of this that makes sense or works, and maybe involves John Cena.
Ooh, yeah. I'm all for chaos, but I want it controlled. And this just seems like it's completely a mess. So anyways, buddy, let's move on. One major thing that happened on Monday Night Raw this week, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez became, for the third time, women's tag team champions with the help of Dominic Mysterio. I should mention too, it was amazing. Tommy Dreamer actually commented on this match and said it's one of the best tag team matches he's ever seen in the history of wrestling. So I mean,
very good.
Good. I don't know. You know,
everybody was firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, but, it was good.
And it could actually lead right into our main segment if you'd like, because
let's do it.
Let's do it because so we're picking each of us are picking our top three. I don't even want to say people because we agreed that teams could be on here, but the top three talent bases that deserve a push. And we both revealed to each other before this that we had some runners up, right? Yeah, one of my runners up, who was going to be on the list until last night, was Raquel Rodriguez.
Really? Okay.
Yes. And it's not that I think she's obviously she's out there, she's on TV. She's doing the whole bodyguard for Liv Morgan kind of thing, tag partner. But I would have very much liked to see her get kind of a push into her own, to kind of go off on her own and get away from Judgment Day, which I can't stand. More on that in a little bit. So that would have been she was pretty much on my list. But then when they were like, oh, even when I was watching the match, I was like, oh man, I bet she's not going to win this. But then again, maybe she is. And then when they were like, oh, this would be their third, they would be the first women's tag team, 3-time women's tag team champions. I was like, ooh, I think they're actually probably going to win this match. And then they did. And I like that kind of history. I like them taking that kind of stuff seriously for the new belts. And I think it's pretty exciting. I think that was a good move. So, and I liked that match. So Raquel Rodriguez gets pulled out of my top three people that deserve a push, but she was on there. She was a runner up. And then how you have the one runner up?
I have one runner up. Should I throw it in now?
Yeah, go ahead. And then I'll do my other runner.
Sounds good. So my runner up is none other than Austin Theory.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, dude, he's doing amazing stuff with Grayson Waller, but it's just he's too damn good of a wrestler to kind of be pushed off to NXT and get buried like he is. And he was forced on us during the McMahon era. Like he was McMahon's boy.
Yes, yeah. And not well.
And then, Cena dropped the belt to him, didn't he? At a WrestleMania or something?
I don't know if it was for the belt, but he definitely did. He put him up. Pretty sure he put him over.
He put him over, and it just did not go well because it was forced upon us. And Triple H clearly isn't that big on him creatively or anything. But I think he's just in a
I don't know if I would agree with that 100%, only because I do think that he and Grayson Waller serve a role. But like they do, I think they are being they're almost like on all 3 brands at this point. Like they're out
That's a
there.
really good point. Yeah.
You know, they show up a lot. And I think they've got their shtick down. But I wouldn't, but that doesn't mean he doesn't deserve like like more of a push aside from
I
being
think
just like enhancement talent, but they're very good at being enhancement talent.
yes. Fantastic. And I want a baby face run. I want to see what he can do as a
Sure.
baby face, not this cocky, arrogant, sort of thing he's always had going. I want to see his acting chops. I want to see what he could
Sure.
do with a good, solid storyline. So he's my runner up.
Nice.
But let's move to our official top
Hold on, I got
3
one more
pushes.
runners up.
Oh,
I got
do
one
you?
more runners up. Yes, I do.
Okay, let's do it.
That also kind of changed, given what they've been given recently.
Okay.
The Street Profits. Montez
Nice.
Ford and Angelo Dawkins. I think they should be like Usos level of like success in the WWE at this point, in my opinion. They're very popular. But I do like that recently they've had, like, I feel like they were sticking them with Bobby Lashley, and I think that they never know what to do with Bobby Lashley, which is why he's not there anymore. So that was kind of falling flat. Like, I think they're both immensely talented and deserve more. Like, oh man, I bet they could have like a really good long feud with DIY or the Motor City Machine Guns, and it looks like that's starting to happen. So I was like thinking about it, and I think they're hopefully on the cusp of getting a good push. So I left them off, but they were runners up for me as well. Pardon me, sorry, Leon. But yeah,
No worries.
I want more for the Street Profits. I think they're incredible, and I think they deserve more.
I love that. Well, one of our followers agrees with you. We'll get to their opinions after we get through ours. We've got some responses from Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit as well. I put a
Hey.
post up over on a pro wrestling Reddit, and we got some responses.
Excellent.
But yeah, let's get to our official top 3, Andrew. Of how do we want to do this? Should we do all 3 at once, or do we want to go back?
We can bounce back and forth.
Let's ping pong, baby.
Keep it
right.
tight, but we can ping pong.
All right, sounds good. So my number 3 then for who I want to get a push is Zoe Stark. I've been rooting for her. Is she one of yours?
Almost was.
Almost okay.
Was. Yep.
Okay. She's the only one who really leaned into the heel persona during that pure fusion thing, like whether it was on social media or like on TV. She was for me, she was the only one where I'm like, yeah, I want to follow this faction. I think she gave it her heart and soul, and she's just every match she wrestles is just like
she's real good,
elevated to the nth degree if she's in it. She's super intimidating, and I want to see her put in the Intercontinental program, whether it's against Lyra, Valkyria. It looks like they might be leaning towards Ivy Nile getting that.
Yeah, because the reason I didn't put Zoe Stark on my list, even though I don't really consider this a promotion or like a push, is that she's wrestling for the Speed title. She's getting a shot at the Speed
completely
title.
forgot about that.
Oh, I can't imagine why. That's so weird. That's so weird that you don't.
I didn't even know that was still going.
Speed title. Yeah, they made a women's one too. Because why not? You got to perform for the Nazis. Like that's you know.
Hey, buddy. Got to perform for the troops.
Yeah. Apparently, so
that's my number 3, Zoe Stark.
There you go.
Okay. Well, maybe our future Speed champion Zoe Stark is who I want that rocket strapped on.
Yeah.
Who do you got?
Lash Legend, baby. We talked about her. I think she's tearing it up in NXT, but I think that bring her to the main roster, have her beat some people up, have her fight like a Nia Jax. Like every time I see Lash Legend in the ring, I'm impressed by how well she moves, how much it looks like she's really beating people up. And I think she's like a big powerhouse too. Like I could see her like getting to wrestle some of like the bigger wrestlers and just have fun with it and put up a real challenge. And I want to see more from her. I want more Lash Legend. I want her on the main roster. I think she deserves a big push. I think she's great.
Yep. I love that, man. She had one match that really stuck out to me, and I'm like, who is this? This is incredible. So yeah.
Yeah, we don't watch enough NXT, but I'm so tired all the time. I'm just so tired.
You are. I know. Well, I'm going to move to my number 2, and this is a tag team. We did say, this can be a tag team, doesn't have to be a singles wrestler, and I'm going with Pretty Deadly.
Hey, good choice. Okay,
dude, they are fantastic wrestlers.
They're
Every
real
time
good.
they're in the ring, I enjoy every
Mhm.
match they put on, but I am so ungodly tired of this gimmick they have going, whether it's like writing
Yeah.
the musical or the effeminate thing. Like look, I'm all for effeminate wrestlers. I don't think every
Mhm.
male wrestler has to be this big macho, tough, aggressive,
Right.
like alpha male. But I know that these two have it in them to do something different. They're clearly
Sure.
really good performers and actors. I love their whole lie, cheat, and steal sort of thing in the ring. Reminds me of Eddie Guerrero in some ways. But keep that, but give them a new gimmick, please. Try something.
Sure. Something.
Try
Yeah,
something
yeah.
outside of this. Like, are they like? I don't know. I don't know what's going on with
Yeah, I
them.
don't know. Yeah, it's WWE always has kind of problems with that too, where they don't like. It's like, oh, these guys are handsome. Like, let's give them long hair and make them like it's. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird, but I think I would almost argue too, like they could keep that gimmick. They just need to do something better with it, and
Yeah.
like just have them be more than just enhancement talent. Those are
Yeah.
guys that I think like if you pushed them, they would be fine. It would be fine. The problem is like the gimmick suffers because they're languishing like a little below the mid card.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because they're perfectly capable. Very good wrestlers.
I love it. I love
Yep.
it. Get that rocket on them. Who do you got next?
I have a faction.
Oh, right. Let's go.
Yes. Yeah. And I wanted to read this off so I make sure I have them all right. You have Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, Nikki Cross, Uncle Howdy, the Wyatt Six. Because here's the thing, they were pushing them.
They were.
And then that just all kind of fell apart because the gimmick, speaking of gimmicks, is just not sustainable. It's not going to work. Not in this day and age, not in this world of post kayfabe. Like it's the kind of, it's not sticking for a reason. However, they don't have to do much to salvage it. Just lose the masks, lose more of the supernatural stuff. You can keep the Wyatt connection, just make them more like the early Wyatts with the like the weird True Detective like villains, something like that.
Back
like
swamp sort of culty.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
like do that stuff, and you can keep everything. You can keep all of them. I think they're a good group. I think they're good wrestlers. You can keep kind of the weirdness, but you can like scale it back a little bit. And then you have like a really formidable team. And I hope maybe something like that happens if like Alexa Bliss gets added, because there was a tease like during one of her segments recently on a SmackDown. But I'm also afraid it's just she's going to join them and it's going to get dialed up to 11. So like we'll see.
She's going to start levitating. Yeah.
Yeah, but I would like to see them pushed as more of a formidable faction. But I think for that to happen, they need to be grounded first.
Agreed.
Like they need to be like dialed down, which will be good because they're all scary.
Exactly. And it seems like all of them poured their heart and souls into this idea and this, using the fuel of Bray's memory to create this faction.
Yes.
I love the setup. I love the whole cult leader and members thing. But yeah, just pull back on that supernatural element a little bit. And I agree with you.
If Wyndham Rotunda, if Bray Wyatt was still alive, I would of course be like, yes, go for it. But there's a reason that he was able to make his stuff work, and that the current people aren't. There's like a reason that you have. Oh, I always get his name wrong, but the guy who wrote like the Wheel of Time books died before the last two were completed, and then people don't really care for the last two because somebody else came on to write them. Even if you have that person's notes, you know what they wanted to execute. It's probably not going to be executed the same way, and that's what we're seeing with this. So I would much rather them. I think if they just toned it down, it would be easier for them to get some mileage out of. Instead, they're kind of like competing against themselves in a weird way. Because that magic that spark is not there. And that sucks, but it's just true. And I don't want them to I don't want to see a situation where they all just like get let go at once randomly down the line, which very much could happen. I'd rather them see them try to salvage this group, but just in a way that makes more sense and is easier for them to maintain.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I could not agree more. Really good choice. Really good choice. My number one, this may come as no surprise, Karrion Kross.
Hey,
I mean,
good
he's
pick.
getting a push right now. You can tell that they can tell organically the crowd's getting behind him. He's doing incredible backstage segments.
Mhm.
I love the manipulation thing he had going on for a while with certain wrestlers. I hate to say it, but I'm so happy that he's no longer a part of that faction and he's kind of gone off on his own. I think it's the best thing that could have happened for him. He's a great actor. He's amazing on social media. If you don't follow him, like he's really one of those who has taken to social media to grow his support. And I am definitely one of them. He's incredible in the ring too. Like he can back up what he says in the ring. He points out a lot of the faults in the politics of wrestling, especially at the WWE. He's not afraid to voice his opinion. Reminds me of Punk in some ways. I'm not going to lie. And I really like that. And I see it happening. It's like boiling right now. And I do think he's really going to get the push. I think it's actually going to happen, but I just hope they go through with it. I see it almost like an LA Knight situation.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Slowly but surely, like the crowd is getting more and more behind this guy. I guarantee you, we're going to see more signs in the audience start popping up for him. And yeah, I love it. I love everything he does, and I can't wait to see where it goes. And I'd love to see him in a title picture at some point.
Sure.
U.S. title, whatever, Intercontinental, World, U.S. Doesn't matter.
Toss him
I
in the
want to see
world
it.
title. Like he could be Jey Uso's first feud.
Boom.
That'd be fun.
That'd
know?
be sweet. I'd love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number one.
I was gonna get an apple for this, but they make my teeth they make my teeth itch. But I spit in the face of people who don't want to give Carlito a push, and that is my number one person.
Aw, love it.
Seeing Carlito come back. Carlito is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. He was incredible in his early run for the WWE. He never stopped wrestling. He just stopped wrestling for the WWE, and I've been happy to see him return and to see him be like the comedic relief below Dominic Mysterio on Judgment Day. Speaking about making my teeth itch, like it bums me out, and I don't like it. And I would like to see him get like a title push or something, just a bigger, I don't know, maybe like a last hurrah kind of a thing. I don't know. Because he's not, I want to say he's like in his mid 40s because he started so young.
He's getting up there. Yeah.
But it's
in
still,
wrestling terms.
Yeah, he looks great. He's still great in the ring. He's good at the comedic relief stuff. He just deserves more. And I wonder if he had never been let go, if he would have gotten more. But that's what I would like. Carlito is my number one. I want to see more for Carlito. I want to see him get a world heavyweight title, be in that kind of picture. I think he deserves it. Yeah, that's my number one, Carlito.
I love it.
Get him out of Judgment Day. Break up Judgment Day. Like, just break it up. I'm sick of it.
I don't know. Sounds like there's been rumors that they're getting a new member, but does that mean another member could leave? Maybe it will be Carlito. Maybe it'll be.
I was about to say, yeah. I mean, one already did. JD McDonough almost died. Like he's.
I don't mean to laugh. It takes dying to get out of this faction. Yeah,
dude. Seriously, like who knows when he's going to be back? And if there's anybody who I think really needed the faction, it's him. So I don't know if his return will be that exciting. I don't know. But if they get a new number, is there a rumor of who the new member might be?
No, not necessarily.
No.
I'm going to go on a long shot here and say Roxanne Perez, but I think she might be too strapped to the Rocket to be put in a faction. But
I also would be surprised if they had more women than men in a faction. I would be legitimately surprised by that in a good way.
Yeah.
That would be shocking almost.
Yeah. Nothing surprises me in these chaotic days of the WWE. But all right, buddy, we got to get to our predictions on Elimination Chamber coming to us this Saturday. But I do want to shout out our Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit responses as well, really quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Cool. So we asked the same question: who do you want to get a major push in wrestling in general, not just the WWE? We had some AEW responses as well. So thank you for that, guys. First, I'm going to go to Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and Get Her Done on Twitter says, I want Io Sky, Drew McIntyre, Dakota Kai, and runner-up LA Knight. So all good choices.
Okay.
I actually almost put Dakota Kai in mine because I think
I was about
she's
to say
just
I like that one the most out of there.
yeah, she's fantastic. She just always
Mhm.
kills it in the ring. Io Sky, I mean, she's getting a championship match
Yeah.
soon, so we'll see.
Right.
See what
Yeah, which
happens
is
with
going to be
that.
the Raw after Chamber, by the way. I thought that was happening at the Chamber, but it's not.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I
Okay.
believe. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Our good buddy and moderator over at our Facebook group, Brian Whitmore, says he wants
Brian.
LA
Mhm.
Knight, Trick Williams, Jimmy Uso. Can't forget about the other twin, he says.
Ooh, man. You know what, who did Jimmy beat the other night? He beat Drew McIntyre the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe, but yeah, Jimmy's a tough one. I like
Is.
Jimmy Uso a lot too, but it's not even just that he's not as good of a singles wrestler. It's just he doesn't pop with the crowd isn't into him as much either. Trick Williams, I think that's a great idea. Trick Williams, I think could be in the main roster tomorrow.
Yep, I'm giving it another 8 months. I think we're going to see him in
maybe even
Raw or
I feel
SmackDown
like
match.
I feel like I could see him very post Mania, getting because they always try to shift things around after that. So maybe.
So here's my question: are we getting a draft again, or is that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
No, because they just had pardon me,
that
they just
weird
had
thing.
the whole signing
Portal.
period or whatever nonsense that was. Yeah.
Say no more. Say less.
Uh-huh.
Okay. We have David Alba over on Facebook said Ludwig Kaiser, LA Knight. Man, that's 3 LA Knights in a row.
I love the love for LA Knight. I don't know what anybody would think more of a push for that guy would be.
Yeah, they've given him so many chances.
Giving him the Universal title, he's pushed.
He's been pushed, guys.
I love
you all for recommending him. I still love
LA
he's
doing just fine. Yeah,
he's fine. And who was his last one here? Oh, Zoe Stark. There we go. Another Zoe Stark fan.
Yep.
Thank you, David.
I want to see her in that CM Punk faction. I'm waiting for all his favorites.
Ooh, I could see it.
Zoe Stark, Ricky Saints.
Oh, that'd be good, man. And our last one on Facebook here comes from Jamal Eagle, excuse me. I hope I'm not mispronouncing the last name here. Jamal says he wants Oba Femi, Sol Ruka, and Montez Ford as a singles competitor.
Hey, Jamal, speak of my language, man. Yes.
He says,
I would love that too.
Here. He says Femi could be the Brock Lesnar type that they've been looking for since they put Strowman on the main roster. So yeah, I like that.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic.
And again, I almost feel bad being the NXT champion deserves a push, but he's not wrong. It is still kind of a developmental brand.
Yep.
That's undeniable. So yeah. Main roster.
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
I like it. Sol Ruka, that's a good one too. Yeah. And then our last one comes from Reddit from Simtricate. They went into depth, so I respect them for doing that. But I'm just going to name the names here,
okay, sure.
so that we can get to our predictions. But he says, excuse me, I shouldn't say he. Pronouns, buddy. They want Buddy Matthews, The New Day, and Finn Balor. So
excellent. Okay,
there you go.
And that's a tough one too because I think New Day's getting a push right now. Pretty significantly with their heel stuff. Finn Balor, I get though. It is kind of wild to think that Finn Balor was the first Universal Champion.
Yeah,
I feel like he went kind of almost a similar route that what happened to Jericho, which is they pushed him to the very top, and then we're like, well, after you lose this belt, we have no idea what to do with you, and then it's been tag titles ever since.
It happens. I know.
And I mean, Finn Balor's, he got injured, and it was, I think he got the Universal title and got injured within the month or something like that, and then was out for a year, had a bad injury. Yeah. It's a bummer. Yep.
Damn. And then lastly, his women, they chose Shayna Baszler, Asuka, and Chris Statlander. So there you go.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Asuka. Oh man. Yes,
I know.
please.
Bring her
Yeah.
back, please,
Yeah.
please.
Well, I
This
think she's hurt. I think she is legitimately injured. But
she is.
yes, whenever
She
she can
is.
get back.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome, buddy. Well, those were who we believe and who our supporters believe should get the big push. So,
Yes.
yeah, here's hoping as we head to
Yeah.
WrestleMania and beyond. But we have something coming up this Saturday, Elimination
Yes.
Chamber. So, should we quickly go through our predictions?
Yeah. Especially
Okay.
you're gonna have to tell me what's on the card because I only
I
know
got
the
you
two
right
chamber
here, buddy.
matches.
I got you
Excellent. All
right
right, what do we
here.
got?
We have this match coming to us. We have Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton versus Candice LeRae and Nia Jax. I don't know what the stipulations are, if any, what kind of match. I'm guessing just a tag team match.
Sure.
Maybe just a
Yeah.
straight solid tag team match. So yeah, who do you got coming out in this one?
Oh, I mean the Canada native would be my guess. That team,
Please, yeah.
the blonde bombshells team. And not only I also just think they're significantly better wrestlers than the other two, which is kind of fun. I'm sorry to say that because I know I have softened on Nia Jax. I don't
Nia
think
has
Candice
grown
LeRae
leaps and
is
bounds.
bad by any sense of the word, but it's
I
Trish
don't get
Stratus
it.
and Tiffany Stratton are two very good wrestlers, and the other two are fine. But anyway, I think my guess would be Stratton and Stratus, especially because Stratton's not going to lose before she goes up against Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, would be my
Yeah.
guess. Unless
Yeah.
Flair comes out and screws everything up.
Right.
Which could be fun.
I think this is a
Never know.
great way. Yeah, that good point. Anything can happen in professional wrestling, but I do agree. I think this will be a great. I could see this starting off, unless an elimination chamber starts off the night. This would be a good way. Trish Stratus
Yeah.
winning in Toronto. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't get the Candice LeRae thing. I said this like a year ago. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's very rare that I hate a wrestler, and I wouldn't say I hate her, but she just does not exist in my world.
Yeah, and I think that's their fault more than hers. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's
that's fair.
they're kind of just always tossing her all over the place, and she's even here. She's more of like a lackey in a way that doesn't like she's like the little kid from like Scott Farkus's little toady. Like that's the role she's given, and that sucks. That's a thankless job. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can really do with that as a
I was
wrestler.
not expecting that comparison.
Like if you have like a toady who's like a security guard, that makes a little bit more sense because at least then they're threatening. Like she's the second fiddle here. Like and Tiffany Stratton being that to Nia Jax made more sense. Yeah, it doesn't make sense with the Candice LeRae.
I get it. Yep. Thank you. I don't feel like such a jerk anymore. What do you got for this unsanctioned match? Who's going to come out?
I feel like it would have to end in like some kind of standstill / like nobody wins situation because my guess would be they're going to build to these two going at it at WrestleMania as well.
Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens. Sorry, guys, I keep forgetting that we are in podcast first and YouTube show second. We have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in a unsanctioned match. Yeah,
unsanctioned match, and I think that I feel like it'll end with like Owens taking things too far, or maybe Zayn takes things too far, and then they have to get split up, and then they're like, "Look, the only way this can happen." Between you guys is like a cage match or something like, well, you know, so I feel like it's going to end in a non-committed way so they can continue on and
as
keep
long
the program going.
As they both come out in different hockey jerseys, Canadian hockey jersey teams. That's all I care about.
Yeah. Legally required. Even though the way Kevin Owens is going, I could see him rocking like a New York Rangers jersey or something just to make people mad.
Just to
piss he's loving that heel roll.
He's loving it, man. And then of course we have our men and women's elimination chamber matches. Let's go with the women first. Who do you got winning the elimination chamber?
I still think Bianca Belair. I've been saying that. That's my main guess. Her losing the belts the other night kind of changed my mind a little. I could see maybe some they might get more out of like her and Naomi like getting mad at each other in this match, costing each other the match, something like that. But I think what it really comes down to is of these 6, I guess I could see Bailey doing it, but I want to see Bianca Belair against Rhea Ripley feels like the best bang for your buck if you're looking at a WrestleMania match for a title.
Yeah.
So my money's on Bianca Belair.
I'm gonna have to agree with you. I think there was a reason they lost the tag team titles on Raw. I think Bianca's ready. I think she's been ready. She's always ready for a championship. Yeah, there's no getting around that. And I honestly think we're gonna see a breakup between her and Naomi. Whether amicable or not, we still have this whole who almost murdered Jade Cargill thing going on. So we'll see what happens with that. Yeah. I do see Bianca coming out on top as well in the Elimination Chamber. Let's move to the men. We have these 6 gentlemen. We have I'm not going to name them.
We didn't say the women's name, so we don't have to say the men's name.
Yeah. Who do you got winning?
I think Cena's going to win this match. Cena's going to win this match. As much as it bums me out that I really think we're heading towards the CM Punk Logan Paul WrestleMania match, I think Cena's probably going to win this and go up against Rhodes. And I almost feel like Punk is going to not main event WrestleMania once again, which I think would be pretty interesting. But we'll see. Maybe that won't be the case.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Here is where my grand conspiracy comes in. You ready?
Ooh.
So I think you're right. I don't think this is the time where Cody's going to turn heel and sell his soul to The Rock, aka the devil. Good Lord. But what I think is going to happen is one of these guys I think The Rock is going to use Cody's no as a way to fuel these 6 guys to be like, hey guys, same offer. Who wants everything? Who wants everything? And I could see Cena finally getting the heel program that he's wanted for probably decades at this point. I do see Cena going out.
But he has not wanted it. Cena has been the one standing in the way. Understandably so. Yes.
Okay.
I believe he is the one who is not. I could be wrong. Someone feel free to correct me. I'm like 95% positive though that Cena has been the one that's like, I have to remain a face.
That's fair. Okay. I'm going to pivot.
Could happen. Could happen. Don't pivot. Stick to your guns.
Well, no, I'm going to pivot. I'm sticking to my guns by pivoting. Okay. I think this would be a great opportunity for CM Punk I think he'd be willing to do anything at this point for that championship.
Yeah.
He's still got to call in that favor for Paul Heyman, apparently. But could it also come in selling his soul to The Rock? I think Punk would be great as a heel, honestly. So
I do too. I just don't see a world where John Cena is wrestling in his last WrestleMania and it's not for the WWE title. But I would love to be wrong about that because I do think a Cody Rhodes CM Punk could be good. They wrestled plenty in AEW. Like there's history there. And I think if he did it as a heel, that could also be really fun. Because, hey, look, he called himself Satan last night. So
it's true.
That could have been for a very pointed reason. But yeah, I still probably see Cena coming out on top here.
Okay.
And I would much rather see like Logan Paul versus Seth Rollins out of this little.
Did you see that slap that Logan Paul put on CM Punk on Raw? That was, oh man. Just had to get that in there.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, those are our predictions. What are yours? Let us know in the comments below on YouTube or throw them on our social media, on our Facebook group. We want to know who you got winning the Elimination Chamber matches coming to us this Saturday from Toronto. That's going to do it, Andrew. We've gone over our allotted time for today, but what you got going on? Anything coming up for you?
Nothing crazy. Look, chemistry tests, my short comedic film still available on YouTube. Pay the Tithe over on Vimeo. That's about it from me right now. Nothing crazy. Nothing coming up. How about you, pal?
So I did something fun over on the Ryan Sprague YouTube channel this week. I thought I'd shake things up, and I got this idea by our good friend, fan favorite, who's come on the show several times, and that's Brisby. of the Brisbane
Okay.
YouTube channel. She recently did, and I would suggest going to watch this, her tier list of WWE wrestlers. It was so much fun to watch, man. You know, she did S tier down to D, and then wrestlers she has no idea who they are. And there was
what does
about
the S
200.
stand for in S tier?
I don't know. I just know that it's above.
I know it's a video game thing, but
yeah. But I completely stole the idea from her. I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, that was awesome. I've been looking for like extra content to do over on my UFO channel. Can I steal your idea?" And she's like, "Dude, thousands upon thousands of people do these every week." She's like, "Steal it, go." And I did a tier list this week. It dropped today, Tuesday, February 25th, of my of over 60 UFO and alien related movies. It was so much fun. I had a ball doing it. I hope to do more stuff like that. Maybe we'll have to do a tier list at some point. That'd be a fun little Patreon.
Yeah, wrestling oriented movies. It's going to
Totally.
be ready to rumble in the S tier, and then everything else.
Everything else
whatever's on the
down
side.
in deep.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can watch that right now over on the Ryan Sprague YouTube channel.
Nice.
And just hustling every week, doing the UFO thing. You know how that goes. But that's about it for me. But you guys, you can find everything we do at on Blue Sky, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. Just search for Somewhere in the Ring podcast. I'm putting out a favor to everyone listening right now, watching on YouTube. Rate and review on Apple Podcasts, the largest platform in the world. We need those ratings and reviews so that we can get up there with all these other awesome wrestling podcasts as well.
Yes, please.
We are going to have a really exciting interview coming up with a indie pro wrestling champion very soon. I just put that in the books, so be on the lookout for that very soon. And if you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/Somewhere in the Ring podcast. All the links are below as well for that. So that's all I got, buddy.
Yay. Well, bud, I think that's it. I love you. Let's ring that bell and get out of here.
Bell. Ready?
Yep. Bing, bing, bing. Oh no, you're gonna add it. Forget I said bing. I didn't.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put that.
I said ask Jeeves over and over again. I didn't say bing.
I'm gonna put the pulse sound that they put when the Elimination Chamber starts. That's what I'm gonna do.
Hey, there we go.
That's suspense going. And first pod opens.
This has been Somewhere in the Ring. Thank you for listening. Subscribe wherever you get your pods, and be sure to rate and review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever possible. We'll see you again soon, Somewhere in the Ring.